Hey guys, so here I am, second attempt. I have an hour left because a new uh, a new episode of Supernatural is about to come on, and I decided to make this brief story. So I was on my Facebook, and there's this hangout group that one of my favorite YouTubers made. Her name is Annie, and she made this YouTube hangout, and it's called Annie's Hangout, where you post your paranormal stuff on there and everything. So there's this one. So like I've had a lot of paranormal stuff in my life, and this is probably one of the most creepiest things I've ever discovered, and most horrendous of them all. And yeah. So um the post was about, before you get all skeptical about this. If you don't believe me of what I'm saying, there's no need for you to put hate comments. Either just like the video or leave. Like, if you do not believe me, do not post hate comments, because this is what happened to me in my life. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. I couldn't care less, because when you put hate comments, it's like you think you know my life, when really you don't at all. You don't know half of my life. It may seem like some people know my life because they know me for a long time, but they don't. They don't. So the post was about black-eyed children, and um, so I've had a lot of events or situations with them, but this one is by far the most creepiest of it, because I've only witnessed maybe like a few of them, but this one, um, so, and there's like, a few comments on there saying, yeah, I have, or no, I haven't, but I wish I had, or whatever. It's like, no, you don't. Like, you don't wish anything like this that would happen to you. If this happened to you, you would not sleep, like, for years. Um, so I posted in that I actually had, not contacted, but, I have seen or witnessed these beings. And, not a lot of people, maybe like 2 people, okay? 2 of them, that's a lot of people for me. They're saying how, I should, tell them about it or whatever, and I was gonna tell them about it, but then I'm like, well, what if I just made a video about it? Okay, so I'm not gonna have a lot of memory of this, my memory card, because I can only hold 24 minutes, so let's just get started. So it was let's see, I was about 6, or 7, either one of those ages, and it was me, my dad, my sister, my mom, my sister's boyfriend, and my friend. And I'm not gonna name her, because I don't think she would have want me to name her. So let's just call this person, I'm trying to think of a name, Jenna. For all you Jennas out there, don't worry, you're safe. So it was maybe, I think, a week before Halloween. No, I don't think that was that. I think it was maybe like a month, I don't know. So my friend wanted me to spend the night at her house. So I asked my parents, and they said no. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, how about you just ask her if you want to spend the night. I gotta like turn down my TV, sorry. Anyway, so they're like, what about you ask your friend if she wants to stay the night? And I'm like, okay. And so, she stayed the night. And things were, being awesome. We partied and we drank. No, I'm kidding. We watched a lot of horror movies, and we were getting in the mood to be scared and everything. And my dad thought it'd be a pretty good idea to make a fort. And then all of a sudden, the power went out, and that was like way before we even had the idea to make the fort. And the power went out, and we were like, oh, okay, this is weird. And then we looked outside, and it was thundering, it was raining. It was the most I wouldn't say scary, but it was like the most bizarre storm we've had in Vegas, and we never have storms in Vegas. Only when it comes from California or whatever, and it rains a lot. But like the way this was raining, it was just weird, because we don't really have we don't have like huge storms in Vegas. Anyway, so power's out, and it's the perfect opportunity for my dad to say, hey, what about some scary stories, to get you in the mood, to get you scared? And we're like, yeah, woohoo, we're pumped for it. So we were making a fort, and it was on the bed, of course, so we were lame. And we pretended the ground was lava. And then so, we made it fun along the way, and we were under the covers, and we had like our blankets. So like I said, it was me, my dad, my mom. Well, no, my mom had to work graveyard, so she wasn't there. But it was me, my dad, my sister, her boyfriend, and my friend. And so we were telling stories and everything, and it was going pretty good until he got to the last, part, and we were talking. And then all of a sudden, my friend got yanked out of underneath the covers. We didn't think anything of it. We thought like, oh, haha, she's playing a mean joke on us. And then, so after the story, me and my dad, we were looking for my friend. It was really dumb because the power was out and we could not see a thing, and we didn't have a flashlight, which kind of sucked also. So we're like, okay, well, we're calling her name. We went downstairs, we checked underneath the stairs, there was nothing. And then we went upstairs and we went in the house and there was nothing. So, and we called her home, no answers. We're like, okay, well, maybe she went home and, she's just playing this, mean trick on us, and it's pretty messed up. It's not funny because we got scared. We're like, well, we didn't hear the door close and everything. Like, we lived in this like apartment complex, and like when the door opens, you don't really hear it, and when it closes, you hear it. But like we were thinking like, well, maybe she just snuck out or whatever while we were talking, and we're like, okay, well, we're just gonna go to sleep, and like, just forget this ever happened. Maybe she'll call tomorrow, say haha, I got you, whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine. So we went to bed, and the next morning my mom was there, my sister, and just everyone that I just named in the probably previous minute. In the last minute, I name all the people that were there. So we were in the living room and having breakfast, and there's a knock at the door. And then we're like, okay, well, who is this or whatever? And so we opened the door, and there was no one there. We're like, okay, that's just weird. So we closed the door, and we got a phone call. And we picked it up, and it was Jenna's sister. And let's call her Ellie. So Ellie called, and she was like, hey, is my sister there? And we're like, no, she's not. We thought she came home. She's like, no, she didn't come home. And we're like, okay, well, this is weird. And we're like, we thought she put a joke on us. And she's like, well, she probably did, but she never came home. And I'm like, well, okay, this is kind of weird. And so we didn't think anything of it either. And then so we were, like, done eating our breakfast and we were watching TV. And then so we went downstairs. It was outside, and we went downstairs. And I swear to God, guys, this was like the most horrifying thing I've ever witnessed in my entire life. And that's coming from someone who lived in a haunted house and who is awesome with spirits and everything. And this is by far the most horrendous thing that has happened. So we went downstairs, and we see like a girl. Let me see, blonde hair. And we were like, oh yeah, that's Jenna. And so we looked underneath the stairs, and she was laying there, and we're like, oh, well, did she fall asleep underneath the stairs, or did she like come up here and like, just like lay down or something? And then we were like shaking her, like, hey Jenna, and she didn't wake up. And then I swear there's like some supernatural crap, I'm not kidding. So we turned her over, and her eyes were gone. Like, literally, they were gone. And I didn't think anything of it, because, dude, I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I didn't think anything of it. I was like, I didn't think anything of it. Like, right now, how I'm thinking right now is how I should have thought and how I am thinking of it right now. If that makes any sense. So, like, we turned her over, and her eyes were gone. And it was like, oh my God, guys, like, this was like really scary, and I'm trying so hard like not to cry about it. And so this poor girl's eyes were gone, and we're like, well, what happened to her? And then as I was walking towards her, and I swear the body was like, it was like fresh or whatever, and I know it happened like last night or whatever, and we thought she was playing a mean joke on us, but her body was like cold, and we didn't think she would, wear any. We didn't think she had that kind of technique to make her body cold. And so her body was cold. And as I was walking towards the, as I was walking towards her, and like as a little girl as I was, I didn't think anything of it. And my sister, my mom, my sister's boyfriend, and my dad and everything, they were like freaking out. They were like, "Who did this?" Or like, "Oh, wow, wow," like that. And I was like, "Well, why are you guys yelling at?" And then so as I was walking, I saw these two kids. These two kids. One was like maybe like around my age. Another one was like a teenager. He was like maybe 13 or 14. And they had the blackest eyes I have ever seen in my life. And they did this creepy, like this really, really creepy smile. And I was like, I didn't, like I said, I didn't think anything of it. And I was like, so I waved at them, and they smiled and they waved back. And then I told my mom, I'm like, "Hey mom, look, I found some new friends." And she looked, and then she's like, "Where?" And I was like looking right at them. I don't know how she couldn't see them. And then she was like, "Where?" And I was like, "Right there." And she's like, "I don't see anything." And then my sister came up, and then she saw them, and then she's like, "Oh, okay, Bernie, she'll get back in the house." And I was like, "But then," she's like, "They're not your new friends. They don't want to be friends." She's like, "Honey," she's like, "I'm not gonna tell you. I don't want to freak you out, but those things are demons." And I was like, "What?" I'm like, because I didn't know what demon meant. Because like after because the house I lived in was maybe like I said, I was maybe like 7 or 8 when I lived in that house, and this was like before I lived in the house. And so like I swear to God, guys, this was like the scariest thing I have ever in my entire life had ever witnessed. A dead body underneath my apartment stairs, and 2 demons across the street from where we checked the mail at. And my sister was like, "Go inside right now. You gotta go inside. Don't make any eye contact whatsoever." And so I broke eye contact and I went upstairs. As I was going upstairs, they just vanished and I never saw them again. And then later that night I was in my bed and I heard like evil cackling kind of, and I was like, "Oh, whatever, it's probably just those mean kids that live underneath me." I was like, "They always threw rocks at my window." And I'm not shaking. And so I looked underneath, I looked outside my window and they were there again. These 2 creepy looking kids were outside my window, and they keep motioning me to come to them. They're like that, and I'm like, "No, no, bitch, no." And then like they just like kept motioning me to come to them, and I'm like, "No." And then they held hands, and like their eyes like started bleeding, and I don't know if it was like some sort of demon effect they had or anything, but it was like the most creepiest thing I have ever witnessed in my entire life, besides the haunted house I lived in. And I'm like very, very happy that I did not witness that crap anymore. I was so freaked out when I saw that, and I never in my whole life witnessed anything like that. And after their eyes started bleeding, they looked up at me, and they were smiling, and their eyes were so black, like really, really black, like liquidy black, like it's like their own pupils, like how like mine, like they just looked like regular eyes, and there's no way those things are contacts. Cause like I never seen, like I don't think like back then kids wore full on contacts, and plus they're highly expensive. Like these things were real, and they were out there trying to make me come to them. And I was like, I was like really young, I was like maybe like I said 5 or 6, I knew not to go out there, because I knew what they would have done if I wouldn't be standing here today if I would have went out there. And like, I could have sworn they would have killed me, or they would have, took over my body or something. And I didn't go out there, so I was like, no, I was like shaking my head. I'm like, no, bitch, no, like, I ain't going out there. Well, I didn't really say those exact words, because, I didn't know those words back then, but all I was saying, I was just thinking, I was like, no, I'm not going out there. And so I closed my curtains, and then the next day, I woke up, and I told my sister about it, and she's like, well, she was like, did you do anything? I was like, no. I'm like, I just stood there, and I'm like shaking my head, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go out there. And then so the next day we heard that the girl's sister died, which was, who did I name her? Ellie, that's how I named her. So I called her Ellie, and we found out that she died the following night that had happened. I mean, like, so here's my house, and then Ellie's, Jenna's and Ellie's house, like, right here, so they could kind of cross at mine. And they also live in the apartment complex, and it's just like, maybe like, probably like a few steps, and you'll see their house or their apartment or whatever. And so what I thought that had happened was that if I would have gone out there, they would have done to me what they have done to Ellie and Jenna. Now, some people say that black-eyed children are not evil, and I believe that some of them are not evil, and some of them are pretty nice, but the ones I have encountered were pretty messed up in the head. They were terrifying. They killed for a living. I know that, because after they went to Ellie, they went to other people's houses, motion like they did, in a come here motion. Either that, or they went to people's houses and they harmed them in a certain way, and they lived to tell a story, and they lived to tell the exact same story that I have, just did. And but I swear, guys, if I would have gone down there, I would have ended up on the news, and I would have died. And I just have this feeling of relief, like, when we moved, and I had a feeling, I'm like, well, I'm never gonna see those things again. And sure enough, I didn't. And then later on, I've witnessed some other ones, but they weren't as scary as this one. So the thing is that they killed my best friend, and not a day goes by that I don't think of her. And I moved on, completely moved on, and I tried to avoid this situation. I tried 1,000 times not to get this off my chest, and now that I'm saying it, it feels so good getting this off my chest. And you guys might not believe me, and I don't care. I really don't, because why would I lie about something like this? Well, I wouldn't answer that, because people lie about everything just to get attention, but I'm not getting attention. I had a crappy childhood. Not the like abuse kind of word. The crappy childhood, I mean, like, ghosts and demons and everything. Anything you can imagine, I've seen. Well, not really. I've never seen a unicorn or Wendigo. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole entire story, and shortened. I would make it longer, but my battery power is almost out. And so I'm talking so quietly is because I was kind of nervous making this video, because I would never imagine making this video, and I was always afraid to make this video. I don't know why. I guess it was something in my body or whatever tell me that they're still out there, whatever, looking for me, whatever. And then I'm thinking, well, other people do it, and they're still alive, they're still here today. And it doesn't really bother me anymore like it used to. Now that I'm older now, it's a lot easier to, tell people about this. And yeah, I'm gonna check how much time I have on here. I still have plenty of time. My camera's like burning up. No, it's the light. Yeah, it's the light. It's burning up. So yeah, that's the whole story. Yeah. If you want, you guys can post down in the comments on what, happened to you paranormally. If not, then I guess like this video, share it, subscribe, and yeah, have a wonderful night. Oh god, I'm getting goosebumps already. Have a wonderful night. I'm going to watch my Supernatural series that starts in, I think, maybe close to 20 minutes. Yeah, I'll upload this tomorrow. And yeah,